At the end of the 2024 Formula One Mexican Grand Prix, Ferrari overtook Red Bull in the constructors' standings. Now even the numbers point to the Italian side as McLaren's primary challenger, confirming what has been apparent on track since the Italian Grand Prix at the beginning of September. In just 2 weekends, Ferrari has scored 96 points compared to McLaren's 50, reducing the gap between the two teams to 29 points. The Maranello team can no longer hide, even if team principal Frederic Vasseur would prefer the spotlight to remain on the Max Verstappen, Lando Norris rivalry. Ferrari will compete for the Constructors Championship. It won't be easy, as this is also very clear. Technically, McLaren remains a tough opponent, with a car that can handle every type of track and condition. But, the technical balance that has taken shape since the summer break has created a scenario where the complete package makes the difference. The results achieved by Ferrari between the United States Grand Prix in Austin and the Mexico City Grand Prix are not due to a dominant car, but rather an aerodynamic package that has worked to perfection. During last Saturday's qualifying session, McLaren's Lando Norris likely had the fastest car, but Carlos Sianz put it all together, setting the stage for his victory 24 hours later at the 4.304-kilometer Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez in Mexico City. The same happened at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas 1 week ago, where Charles Leclerc's textbook start, along with the now habitual skirmishes between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, created the perfect conditions to dominate the race. Ferrari team principal Frederic Vasseur confirmed that the Maranello team now had much better control over various situations compared to the beginning of the 2024 Formula One season, noting improvements in pit stops and strategies. The French manager acknowledged that while a strong pace from the car made everything easier, the team had performed well overall during the Mexican weekend. Reflecting on the Singapore Grand Prix, the Scuderia's team principal recalled feeling frustrated on the flight back, sensing they had left valuable opportunities on the table. He felt there had been potential to compete for pole position, and starting from the front could have changed the outcome. However, he also pointed out that aiming high required both a competitive car and effective weekend management. In Mexico City, Ferrari left 4 points on the table in its direct confrontation with McLaren, important points that would have been gained if Charles Leclerc hadn't made an error at the end of the race exiting the Peraltada. Frederic Vasseur did not take well the behavior of some lapped drivers, which cost the Monegasque several seconds during the part of the Mexican Grand Prix when Lando Norris was just 4 seconds behind the Ferrari man. Frederic Vasseur noted that while an unlucky lapping can occur, spending 5 corners behind a driver who sees blue flags is not simply bad luck, but rather an error on the part of the driver failing to give way. He explained that Charles Leclerc lost both time and, more critically, tire temperature in that phase, which allowed Lando Norris to close the gap. Everything can make a difference. Ferrari right now has a good car, but also 2 drivers who, in terms of contribution to the team, are undoubtedly the most in-form pair, and the close contest between Max Verstappen and Lando Norris might also work in the Scuderia's favor in the Constructors Championship battle. Frederic Vasseur does not want to leave anything to chance. Ferrari will head to Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix and Las Vegas, with the awareness of contending for the race victory, and even the challenging Qatar circuit is not to be used as an excuse. The Ferrari team principal acknowledged that, on paper, the Losail circuit was not the best fit for their car. However, he noted that predictions in Mexico had similarly not expected them to contend for pole position. The French manager believed that everything remained open and emphasized that performing well across the entire weekend would be even more critical in Qatar. Although uncertain whether they would compete for 1st, 3rd, or 5th place, he stressed the importance of doing their utmost to achieve the best possible result in that weekend as well. Looking back to the last weekend at the 4.304-kilometer Autódromo Hermanos Rodriguez, a special mention about Carlos Sianz needs to be made. While most of the fans focused once again on the clash between title rivals Max Verstappen and Lando Norris, Carlos Sainz's victory in Mexico should go under the radar. After not having the perfect start from pole position, the Spaniard could re-overtake Max Verstappen and manage to win his 2nd Grand Prix in the current season. At the post-race press conference, Carlos Sianz shared that he had felt this weekend would be an excellent opportunity to win the race. He came into it with a strong sense of confidence and determination, knowing they might have a real chance at victory. He noted that he had remained focused and committed throughout the weekend. Additionally, the Spaniard mentioned that having his family, best friends, girlfriend, and many supporters present made the event even more meaningful. Verstappen initially managed to get off the line better than Carlos Sianz in Mexico, but the Spaniard soon retook the lead and once in P1 again, held onto it firmly. The Ferrari driver later explained his overtake, noting that he likely caught Verstappen off guard by starting from a greater distance but gaining a strong tow with DRS before turn 1. Although he initially thought he might be too far back, in the final 100 meters, he sensed good momentum and felt confident with his braking into turn 1 that weekend. With the car providing him solid confidence to brake late, he went for the move, which succeeded. Losing a driver like this will cost Ferrari dearly. The display of skill, strength, temperament, and class that Carlos Sainz demonstrated in the Mexico City Grand Prix is something that won't soon be forgotten. And it will weigh heavily because when Lewis Hamilton takes his place at Ferrari in 2025, inevitable comparisons will bring with them a sense of regret. The way Carlos Sainz achieved victory silenced everyone and especially highlighted him. In the end, he subtly tempered the enthusiasm in his handshakes and smiles with the various figures of the prancing horse. The thought of Carlos Sainz driving for Williams next year is something that, despite full respect for the team which signed him, leaves a bitter taste. Carlos Sainz, besides being a gentleman of a bygone era, is a driver who unites the team, who has always bonded with the Maranello engineers in difficult times and who performs at his best when the opportunity arises. How many drivers today can overtake Max Verstappen in such a manner? And how many can withstand the pressure of an aggressive and fast teammate like Charles Leclerc? Let's be honest, probably very few, if any. If McLaren had had Carlos Sainz this year, the championship might have been theirs, as the Spaniard has a race sense few possess. When he overtook Max Verstappen in the 9th lap with a spectacular move, Carlos Sainz immediately extended his lead, and Charles Leclerc, who was right behind him, quickly realized that the Spaniard would put up a fierce fight. His pace, carefully controlled to stay ahead of his pursuers, kept him safe from technical risks and possible comebacks. After all, this is his strength, and once again, it proved victorious. Bravo Carlos, and bravo to Ferrari, far from the difficulties encountered in the first part of the 2024 Formula One season, despite the fact that Lando Norris's clumsy driving helped both Carlos Sainz and the Maranello team. In any case, the British driver has now reduced his gap with Max Verstappen to 47 points to make up in only 4 races. Is it still possible to catch Max Verstappen? Yes, but the math still favors the Dutchman. The driver of the race on the negative side, namely Max Verstappen, did his best to earn penalties, disregarding the hostile atmosphere after the United States Grand Prix in Austin, and he succeeded with a couple of unnecessary moves against Lando Norris. After serving a 20-second stop, he ran an exceptional race, climbing 9 positions to finish 6th. The truth is that Red Bull is no longer what it once was, and he is doing everything he can to give it a final send-off.